I don't believe it. Well, we got 8 pages. Maybe 21. If Pierre would like to join us, here. Have a seat. Oh, wait. We have a cellist right here. Oh, over here. Oh, that's a cellist here. Does everybody have a glass full of something in front of them? It should be full. Because I'm going to talk and other people are going to talk, and let's face it, nobody's going to wait for the toast. We're just going to sip. And think of it, each one as a libation, your own individual libation to our friend, the birthday boy. I'll never say that. I'll never say that. Let's see. I am not such a great memory, so that would be the only self-deprecating thing I say tonight. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. But I am going to read. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Pierre's birthday party. It's time to say some things, and I would like to speak first. There was a committee, a real committee, that has met, which asked me to begin a round of toast and congratulations to Pierre Bryan. Yes. Most graciously thank that committee for their fine efforts in making this birthday celebration for Pierre. Nancy, Barbara, Rhonda, Julie. We thank you so much for bringing us together, and thank you for inviting us to participate. But I was chosen to begin because as they were considering whom, I happened to be the first person walking down the drive. And that's how that happened. Was that self-deprecating? Okay, strike for self-deprecating. I have a list here. No dirty jokes, no bad jokes, no bad dirty jokes, no self-deprecating apologies. So I'll do my best. So here is how it's going to be and how we shall proceed. I, of course, am going to read my thoughts and on the occasion first. And what I'm about to say, I swear by the goddess necessity, must be said. And then by raising high our cups, we, so many, will say as one what is foremost on our minds and in our hearts. Too much to remember. And I'm certain that there are many here now who would like to say a word. And in time, you are most welcome to move forward. And after I speak my part, and the whole of us have said the words that will be said, and everyone is pleased to have spoken and listened, we will conclude with a word from Rhonda, and then we'll pause as Alexander offers us his reflections on the cello. Oh yeah, and then we'll cut the cake, enjoy the day, and to continue to celebrate this brief moment to come again. May those of you familiar with the style of classical ode be kind. And if I may, before I yield the floor to other speakers, who I'm most anxious to hear, I would like to summon truth and the logos and speak out these few words that have been written for Pierre. I shall begin by saying something I know to be true for all, so many, each individual one, and every one of us, a unity, who are here today as one. How fortunate we are. So much a wonder it is that we should be present on such a grand occasion. We are as when in that play, Henry V, the good King Harry says to his followers, we few, we happy few, we are. And I do believe that some great powerful providence has had a role in our lives that we should be here today. It's, say, some Greek philosopher. We're here to step forward. He would, or she, would join us and join us together and then join us to sing out, Kai Roman! Let us rejoice. Let us rejoice. Kai Roman. Let us join together and rejoice that we have a share in such a day, and that such a man, that we have a share in such a man, a philosopher equal to the best. Let me illustrate what I mean by a parable. And imagine here, over here, by the fireplace of Hestia, here, over here, here, over here. It's like an echo. Here, over here. Here! And over here. Once the gods gathered for a party. Oh, and by the way, let me say right now, it's nice to see you all once again. And so, by a fortune, I am turned from the firelight, and I strive upwards for inspiration. Now the gods are gathering for a party. They are on the plain of truth, near a lake, beautiful with reflection, conversing with pleasure at the sight of the moon and the sun. The moon and the stars. It is a party in the honor of the day, of the birth of Aphrodite, a beauty preeminent and brighter than the sun to behold. She is smooth and fair and fine and young and wise and vivacious and passionate, so complete and perfect in her beauty and truth. Then you may ask, why the gods bring no gifts? You see, the gods know and they recognize instantaneously that this Aphrodite is the ultimate perfection and full flowering of beauty. And now the gods understand that she, in fact, in her birth, is the gift to the gods and all mankind. And this is because of her generous and overflowing abundance of beauty, which she brings forth eternally, sharing equally with all for our pure enjoyment and for the fulfillment of our destiny. Then all the gods, they gather at this party, and they gather themselves together, akin, and next to, and near to, and they celebrate and thank their good fortune that beauty is born. And as I stand here, I am most confident in saying, just so it is with this party, and just so it is with Pierre. And although we take nothing away from our understanding and the character of Aphrodite, we cannot help but see Pierre in the same light. And certainly in a similar way. And by a different light, we see in him the qualities of many of the gods. His foremost similarity to Aphrodite is one we all know and enjoy intimately. That he is a gift that is generously and abundantly shared by us all. And it's He that makes that so. How blessed and happy we are, like in the play, we happy few who have Pierre in our lives. And so often we strive to share in his joy and happiness, his amazing gift and vision, and we try to share this joy and happiness with all that we meet, who we meet. Like the complete and whole essence of Aphrodite, Pierre is indeed a striking figure. Like Apollo, this man is handsome and full of mettle and far-seeing. And Pierre is kind and gentle and nurturing. A true son, and a true and constant son of the midwife Artemis. And so, like a son of beauty himself, he is always full of youthful playfulness, but patient and mindful. Like Hestia, he abides in all that is sincerity and humanness. Like Hermes, a trickster and full of business. Like Hephaestus, crafty, inventive, and with an eye to excellence and beauty, a beauty once all his own, and now his to develop and create for our adornment. Like Dionysius, well, like Dionysius. Like Hades, he looks after the souls of humankind, and especially those he knows and loves. Allow me to return to Dionysius. Thank you, Julie. Allow me to return to Dionysius. That wasn't fair. Since this particular god has the distinction of being twice born, we must mention him twice. First, his two companions, Heracles, who rids the world of men from threat of strange and irrational fears. Though untoward and unique, Pierre captures them, becomes their master, and disposes of them. He's also Theseus, who disposes of those terrible men, those who cherish their ability to cause harm and suffering. True and only monsters. Men disguised as monsters, monsters disguised as men, monsters all. Pierre sees them for what they are, meets them handily, and clears a path. And so he is seen in the world of men. And then on that path, like Dionysius the twice born, the leader, present not only to men, but also to gods, Pierre stirs up, because he's divine. No, because of the divine. Pierre stirs up in us and excites us and reminds us all how close we are to the good and the great and the divine. With Pierre as Dionysius, we become confident that the divine is ours to embrace. If we just let go, and in a burst of what appears to be madness, we enter into it with all our being, and then become all that is being and all that is divine. In Demeter, goddess of the seasons, we find him an abiding presence among so much change. Like Poseidon, shaker of the earth, there is a certainty in his intention, which embraces and is wide in its reach. Like Ares, he knows a fight and never turns. Like Athena, he himself is a true lover of wisdom and never strays in the practice and the life of his love and his art. He is so filled to the completion with such mind, insight, profound comprehension, grand perception, and love for humanity that although he seems to be doing nothing, he overflows like a grand benefaction, such as Kronos. Like Uranus, so near to the great void of creation, throughout all he maintains a singular, pure, well-rounded, and abiding calmness that all but conceals his greatness. And finally, most like Zeus, with his lovely Hera by a name, he keeps his eye on all of us for the greatest good. In this way, and for this man, our beloved Pierre, the gods have gathered for a party. His birth is a gift to us all. And the gods and he and we are all so happy. We all who have come now together, here, hear ye, here and now, on the 16th day of November, we have come to celebrate his birth a full 90 years to the day. We, so full of love and gratitude, we raise our cups to Pierre. Oh, you want coffee?
He's really praising the mind, is he not?
Yeah.
In every word, he's praising the mind.
We said no self-deprecating humor here. Thank you, Pierre. Here now. May any and all others come forward to speak of Pierre, to Pierre, and to all of us to their heart's content. And finally, we will continue to thank our good fortune. Let's see. No. And then Rhonda will share after everybody else. And finally, we will continue to thank our good fortune and thank Pierre with all our hearts, our minds, and our souls. And in the great peace of that time, we will enjoy a musical tribute from Alexander. So, you're welcome to step forward, one and all. And when you're ready, we'll listen to Rhonda.
Somebody else make a toast. Please, come on.
Go ahead, Rhonda.
If you would like,
I am the last.
Rhonda wants to be last. I
You
thought
go
there was a
before
Grammy
me.
coming forward.
I'm the last.
Peter?
I am the last to lead a toast. So someone come before me, please. Here we go.
Thank you.
Good. Cool. Go for it, Pete.
Hello, everybody.
Each up front.
Wonderful evening, wonderful crowd, wonderful event. But I'm not quite sure how to follow Dave.
Neither do we.
So if this was an effort to put someone else in that situation to follow Dave, so save the rest of you, you're welcome. So, as I look around, it's obvious that I'm not the oldest in this crowd.
We're not either.
However, I may very well be the one that has had the longest history with Pierre, having been introduced to him at a very young age. So, in that role, or in that sense, I struggled with that responsibility, the role of taking a measure of a man. A father, husband, brother, uncle, grandfather, great-grandfather, teacher, student, friend. So I thought, I could stand up here and I could list all of this gentleman's accolades and accomplishments from a very rich, very extraordinary life. And I thought, doing so, that's more worthy for us than it is for him. And then I thought, I could list the lessons that I've learned, that have shaped my life, continue to shape my life. Lessons of integrity, lessons of perseverance, lessons of justice, and lessons of truth. And I thought, now I'm just talking about me. Yeah. So, I think what is appropriate for me is to acknowledge with pride, gratitude, and love the role of this explorer in pursuit of probably, and I'm speaking to the choir here, probably the most essential pursuit in life. And that is to navigate through our inner worlds that so often manifest in the outer world. So I would like to toast to Pierre, the explorer. And I'm going to paraphrase from the 60s TV show that you and I occasionally watch. To mine, the final frontier. May your bold journey continue and bear as much fruit as it possibly can. Happy birthday.
When you're living, you have to have some major point in your life change, otherwise you're caught up in all the patterns that you were born with and raised by. And there was a bunch of people after I got through being engineering and everything else. I met these two people, my friends, Judy and Dick, and they had a wonderful house in Costa Mesa. There was a big party there, and I must say some people were probably smoking something and all that kind of stuff. And everybody's there, and then this guy walks up the driveway in a kind of pants and the sport shirt, horn-rimmed glasses, short haircut, and shave. And everybody said, "How you doing?" He says, "How's your world?" And so I still didn't know who this guy was. And so we all went inside, and I was talking to him, and I sat kind of on the floor. I can remember being kind of down on the floor, and this guy up there, and we started talking, and everyone else faded away. The topic was love, and whether you should deal with a non-lover or a lover, as far as I can remember, and that set me on a path that I continued in both philosophy and love. So thank you very much, my good friend. I really love you. I raised
Unplanned. Hello, and it's wonderful to see so many wonderful faces that span many, many years. And I'm not even one of the oldest old-timers here by a long shot. But in 1986, this gentleman over here, Carrie, Tush Band, introduced me to this gentleman on a Friday night, and my life has never been the same since. We were studying the symposium, and I was immediately at home. I knew from that moment on that whatever was happening in this community was something I needed to be a part of. So I just want to thank you very much. It started me on a road of self-discovery that's still ongoing, and I hope to gain a lot more wisdom in my years to come. And I owe you for the beginning of it, really, for starting me on that road. Thank you very much. Gratitude.
I came out of high school, and at the time of pot and LSD and all kinds of stuff, and a couple of my friends. It's funny, the Paulinis name come up because the Paulinis took me over to see this guy whose sports car was all fucked up. And they were fixing the sports car. And there were all these people working on this sports car. And I walk in and I make the wise ass comment, there are more people working on this sports car than were working on Kennedy. And Pierre laughed. He thought that was a pretty good joke. And Pierre's sense of humor is profound. What I owe this man is learning how to think. I didn't know how to think before I got that D in Pierre's class. And that was the paper that I was getting A's with. Right? So I learned how to think. I got the gift of trusting my own intellect when it comes to reading. I got the gift of realizing that there's no such thing as an irrational universe. We live in a rational universe. There's very few teachers alive right now who are capable of opening up people's eyes to that. But in the realm of our personal psychology, which sometimes seems the most profoundly irrational, we see the profound rationality of it because of Pierre. We worked for a while with a Zen center called Sudok Sa, or Virtue Mountain in English, and Pierre is a Virtue Mountain. Whatever burdens come with philosophy are light compared to the freedom to think, the freedom to have a mind. And I don't think we ever did get that car fixed.
Well, sure.
Good evening, everyone. I have the great pleasure and honor to be not just a friend, but also a colleague of Pierre's. I haven't known him for as long as many of you. We only go back about 17 years, Pierre, but I think it feels more like lifetimes because of the depth of our connection and in philosophy. And some of you know that I'm a philosopher as well. That is to say, I came to philosophy because I didn't want to do anything else for a living, and rather tried to avoid doing everything else for a living, and that led me into philosophy. But Pierre is the real deal, so that's really what I want to say to you. I mean, I do the professor thing and the author thing and the practitioner thing, and we've had some really good long journeys together through that realm of making philosophy relevant to everyday life as opposed to just the mind game that academics play. So I just want to say that Pierre is the real deal. So here's to you, Pierre, the real deal.
Yes.
You gonna make a toast? All right.
I can't honestly think of a person in the world I love more than Pierre. And I'm going to try and probably just keep this somewhat personal and emotional, but I have a feeling it's something that we all can relate to. I walked away from a career in record production and had moved back from London to LA and was just literally deciding what I would want to do. And that was about 18 years ago that I met Pierre. And Pierre spent hundreds of hours with me over the course of the last decade and a half, going through Plato, where we would come back the next week over coffee, always over coffee. All 15 years, I could never pay a dime for anything. It would always be, well, you bought the coffee, right? Everybody, you all know this one. It's like, well, you bought the coffee, we're good. And that was for 15 years of hundreds of hours of teaching me how much I don't know. The more I spent time with Pierre, the more I learned how little I did know. But I had the experience multiple times of being with Pierre, and this is the thing I wanted to share that I'm sure many of you can relate to, where I would literally understand something for the first time and just be spontaneously in tears. And I would be sitting over coffee somewhere and crying because I had gotten something, I had understood something in a way that has never happened before in my life. And there's no price, there's no explanation for that, there's no way to put anything on that, really. But it's the experience of the divine. And this is something that Pierre was actually able to give to me. And I know that he used to talk about when you have that, he would say, I don't even know if it's an experience, he would say it's an encounter. You have this encounter. And you've given that to me many, many times. And so I just wanted to thank you from the bottom of my heart. I truly adore you. And I'm grateful with everything that I am for knowing you. And long may you live.
Pierre, I would like to thank you because you're my only teacher who taught me that I don't need a teacher. I really need a midwife.
Hi, my name is Pamela, and Pierre turned me into a pest. You know, I would ask my father things like, do you meditate? And he would say, yeah. And I'd say, well, how do you do that? And we get into these conversations where he'd say, now just drop it. Will you just drop it? Anyway, so I learned to ask questions. And I think that for me, I don't like roast really, but you were my first real teacher, my first philosopher I ever met. And I started being able to read things for meaning. You know, I was always into reading things and having somebody else tell me what they meant. And in his class, that didn't go. I took a philosophy class with him early on at Orange Coast College, and we used to kind of follow him around like a little group of devotees, you know, and we'd have coffee and talk. And the thing I loved the most was that not only is that what he did, but that's what he liked to do. And he would say things like, you mean they pay me for this? And I thought that was kind of cool to have a job that you love so much that you do it when you were at work, you know. And so I wrote a couple things down here because I was afraid I'd forget what I want to say. Okay, so yeah, a great teacher for me, always. The first philosopher I ever met, an introduction to philosophy, really. And he's also the first person I ever heard say the word border schlinger. You want to know about that, you can ask him. Anyway, nobody says that. Anyway, the best guy, absolute bar none, at asking questions that I ever met. I've never met anybody that asked better questions and knew how to do it better. This is such a skill at doing that. It's just, it still astounds me. And another thing that I really appreciate is a new look at the beauty and gift of dreams. And, you know, to just see what is in a dream and how that is such a gift from the dream master, the divine, whatever, to show you maybe something that you need to see in your life that you maybe can't see. And I think that's pretty astounding. And also, I really learned to read for meaning. You know, not to just be able to say something, but to really look at a work and see, what is this saying? And I take that with me and into whatever I'm doing, and I'm able to really look at something and see what does it mean and what does it say in the Word. Not what does somebody else say about it, but what does that thing actually say? Go to the Word. Go to see what the guy says, not what somebody else thinks it means. And so it's kind of like somebody else said, how to think, not what to think. And the other thing I kind of appreciate is something called, I think if there's a Yiddish word for it, it's called the Yetzirah, and that means the element of irreducible rascality.
Go for it.
I have a PowerPoint presentation.
Maybe I can see it, of course, but I would like to thank Barbara and Julie and Rhonda for certainly putting this on. It's fantastic, right? Every 10 years, we expect another one in about 10 years. Okay, half of you guys were here, forget it. Okay, so here we go. Thanks, Pete. I brought Pete here for a specific reason. Okay, I'd like to raise a toast for my father, right? We have 4 of my siblings here, 3, I guess, 1, 2, 3, 4. Sue, Pete, and Joe, obviously myself. So before I do, I have a top 10 list. Oh, and Leah, I'm sorry, I didn't see Leah, and certainly Skylar. Did a little research today, and I got on rated.com and looked at some of the reviews that you had as a teacher. Obviously, you guys have been there. So I draw from a wealth of information here. But let me first say, my brother Joe always said that, and I quote you, I think it was his famous poem that said, all you need to know in life is learn in kindergarten. Which is pretty true, right? Obviously. So in that vein, I'd like to honor my father in the same fashion by defining and reciting what I learned in Pierre Grant's class in 1981. I got an A, of course. And these are the 10 lessons I learned. Hey, A or F, I don't care. Let's get the S, F, good. All right, here we go. But let me preface this real quick by saying there will be no syllabus. So don't expect one. There'll be no silly questions answered, because I fully expect you to answer on your own. Come on, somebody, nobody. Okay. I don't hate Catholics. I don't hate women. And I don't hate people from Brooklyn. Just to clarify. Okay, so here we go. So without further ado, here are the top 10 lessons learned from Professor Grimes' philosophy class, 101, 1982. Let's go back. All right, here we go. Number 1, Birkenstocks are the preferred footwear. All right. Number 2, lessons learned in Professor Grimes' class. Pedicures are optional. Yeah, we're rolling. Okay, we love this one. The serpent tells a lot of truths. Yeah. Okay, all right. Most philosophy students, I'm sorry. Another lesson I learned in Professor Grimes' class. Most philosophy students use their medical marijuana card more than their student ID. Okay, Number 5, lessons I learned by Dr. Grimes. A cup of coffee bribe to the professor can influence a grade. Okay, that's good. Number 6, he is so well published because he has no peer review. Number 7, lessons I learned from Dr. Grimes' class. The Joseph and Harry characters in his dialogues were developed basically on the inspiration of my brother Joe for Joseph and me for Harry. Now I'm compelling him to go to Baldy now, not Harry. Number 8, I debated. Pete, the professor's grading curve is not typical bell curve. And I'm going to skip the rest of the part. My wife said it's not appropriate. Okay, going to number 9 of the lessons I've learned in Professor Grant's class. The pen is much mightier than the sword when accompanied by a whiteboard. Okay, lastly, I think there's a couple new classes coming. And I'm kind of freelance here. Philosophy of cannabis, I think, is one. Home cultivation, and philosophy of crop circles, and that's all I wrote. Pass the floor to Uncle Joe.
Happy birthday, Pops.
Thanks for coming.
Of course.
It's a pleasure to have met each and every single one of you. No qualifications. Because in meeting each of you, I have found a unique mind, and I can enjoy and appreciate each one in the depths that you bring with us, to us. And therefore, thank you for being here and being part of my life.
Okay, last toast, and then Alexander Hendricks will play the cello. I just wanted to let you know a little bit. When I first met Pierre, I kind of was always curious about life and what it meant, and I kind of took an existentialist view, like you really can't know, you can't understand, and you just have to do the best you can. And then I took Pierre's class and had a midwife talk with him, and fell in love with Pierre and Plato. I mean, I love you for introducing Plato, right? Yes. And then when I saw my life wasn't random, that it was intelligible, you could understand it, I was high for 3 days, right? And just as a couple of quotes from Pierre Grimes, and one of them actually is from his play, The Symmetry, but one of them is from the chapter 2 in the Philosophical Midwifery book on Pathologos. The first sentence is, it's entirely possible to verify for oneself that we are part of an intelligible and loving universe. Woo!
Yay!
The other quote is at the end of the play that Pierre did, and it was the role I played, which was a physicist. And the person ended the quote with a quote from Einstein, which Pierre picked. And the quote from Einstein fits, and it says, the most incomprehensible thing about the universe, that is comprehensible. Thank you. Now we have what?
I'd like to thank Pierre, since I was co-author on the book Philosophical Midwifery. He is the greatest gift of my life, and I appreciate it. I didn't stand up and talk, but I'd like to give a toast, briefly saying that when I was in his philosophy class, because I was an oceanographer in the beginning, he asked a crazy question, what's knowledge? And like I had gone through many years of classes, you write down what they say and you're ready to tell me what biology is, what's physics, etc. And except he ended up saying, how do you know that you know what you know? Suddenly, out of nowhere, it was like a bolt of lightning hit me. And that's why I brought Athena, because she reminds me of that bolt of lightning. And it was at that moment, and several days later, that I thought this was very strange, because we got into the Theaetetus, and the very questions that he was asking in class, these strange dialogues that we were reading 2,500 years before, is what he was doing in class with the individuals. And as each person was answering the questions, you could see the same answers coming out of the dialogue. And it was like, what's the guy in Beaming Up? Scott. So I was beamed up in
in a different realm, and it was incredibly amazing. And after that, I changed from oceanography to philosophy, and then I had a dream after doing many talks with him with philosophical midwifery. That philosophical midwifery was a goal to pursue. And so I appreciate, and I wanted to make sure that he understood that I did follow that dream, and thank him for letting me do so. And thank all of you.
Would anybody else like to give a toast? We're going to have, while we hear come in. Come in, come in, come in.
Come on in.
Okay.
Everyone has to look at those
Okay.
There she is.
There, we love that little girl, right?
My daughter. My
Okay, we're going to have
And now,
Alexander Hendricks is going to play a cello.
what better thing than music? Thank you.
By Bach.
Nice.
Terribly out of tune.
encore. This is a slightly newer piece, so and it's by memory, but might mess up. Hopefully not.
As we drink and eat and share, we will keep all of these thoughts in mind. Thank you very much. Thank you, Pierre. And enjoy the evening.
Yeah.
One more?
He has one more.
No, I don't. Sorry. Not by memory.
Huh?
Not by memory.
Not by memory.
The last one? Allegro Appassionato by Cézanne.
We have taken
We want to make an announcement about the dog.
Oh, yeah.
That's cool.
Thank you. Is that good? Beautiful.
Real quick, everybody, one more time. There are cups. They are very special. They were designed by Pierre, and they're available over there by the round table. And be sure to pick one up on the way out.
Hey, what was that second? That was awesome, by the way.
Such a great job. You got a little Rimsky-Korsakov, a little Stravinsky or something.